welcome back to The Lemon Abroad. Today I wanted to make a video in honor of Italian American Heritage Month. And this is of course because I am Italian American and I wanted to share what that means to me and to my identity. Identity itself is something that we all hold very dear and that we should be able to define for ourselves. But it can also be attacked or misunderstood by other people, and other people can try to define us according to their worldview, which honestly, if they are attacking someone else's identity, means is very limited. But this is something that even I have experienced, and it has been really difficult for me. But I feel that the best way to confront this ignorance is to be strong in my identity, to be proud in my identity, and to continue to speak out and educate people about what it means to be Italian American. Of course, around the world, there are many communities of immigrants who have found themselves in a new country and who are establishing their communities there. What we find as a result is an amazing blending of culture, language, food, and traditions. In many major US cities, for example, including my own, we can find many different distinct cultural neighborhoods where one or more groups of immigrants have settled. And here you can find really examples of what it means to both hold on to one's culture, food, and traditions, and at the same time be adapting to what it means to be in this new country, and even incorporating some of that new culture's traditions in with their own. And this blending of cultures creates a distinctly third culture. And of course, that is how I would define what is Italian American culture. I think food is a really good way to show this. In my own family, for example, we have several recipes that have been passed down through generations. Recipes, now that I have moved back to Sicily, I have been able to find nearly identical to the recipes we are still making in the United States today. In other cases, the recipes have had to be adapted over the years based on, for example, ingredients that you can find, seasonality, and the tastes of the new culture. We also then find that there is a distinct Italian American cuisine that has come as a result of Italian immigrants moving to the United States. There is this repertoire of dishes that we find, such as lasagna, eggplant parmigiana, bolognese, some of which you can find still today, or you can find the origins of them, and others that are completely distinct dishes in themselves that you would not be able to find here, but that have their origins in the cuisine that Italian immigrants at the turn of the century were eating and that they tried to recreate in the United States. To me, this is absolutely incredible and fascinating, and I love learning about this. We can also find a distinctly third culture in the language and how many Italian Americans pronounce certain words. For example, many Italian surnames are no longer pronounced how they would be in Italy. Not only were some of these names Americanized, for example, during the immigration process, but if they were left spelled as they were in Italy, their pronunciation has become Americanized. Like many other blended cultures, we see that this community will celebrate the traditional holidays that they did in their old country in the new country, but maybe in a different way. So for example, in Italy, there are many religious festivals around the patron saints of different churches and of different cities. Usually there is some kind of procession, and there are these beautiful street lights that are put up in the local neighborhood. Well, we also see this today. For example, in Cleveland, there is the feast every August, and this is actually held on the Feast of the Assumption. And while it is rooted in the religious celebration, and we see a procession very much like we would see in Italy, it has also been transformed into a street festival where there are many different Italian American dishes that are served, and really everyone comes to enjoy it, not just Italian Americans. One of the dishes that they serve at the feast is something that in Cleveland they call Sicilian pizza. So when I was last at the feast, I said I have to get a piece of this Sicilian pizza. And when they served it to me, I realized it was sfincione, which is reminiscent of pizza in the fact that it is a type of bread and then it has a tomato sauce that usually has anchovies in it with onions. And it was amazing for me to see that this dish that I had in my hands on the streets of Cleveland is the same dish that I see being sold on the streets of Palermo today. It was amazing for me to see that connection, to see that from 100 years ago, when Italians and Sicilians emigrated from southern Italy and Sicily, that we're still eating their food today. It's really incredible to see how we've been able to hold on to that throughout everything. Growing up in the United States, I always identified as Italian American, and I think this is really common for people who come from different cultures and who have a cultural heritage, which is something that is not uncommon in the United States because so many of us come from different cultural origins and still have those cultural ties today. It's definitely something that I always knew where I came from. I always knew where my family had come from. Many times if I meet people from abroad and I tell them I'm Italian American, they'll say, "Oh, so you're American." And to me, that totally negates half of my history. It totally negates for me the story of my family coming from Sicily, leaving everything behind to take a chance on a new life. It eliminates all the hard work and challenges and obstacles that they had to overcome generation by generation for our family and for our culture as a whole to get to where it is now. It eliminates our idea of community, our traditions, and our identity. I don't think this is uncommon for people who come from blended cultures where someone will try to put them in one box or another. And I don't think it's uncommon for people who are unaware of this history and of this identity to try and do that, which is why I felt it was so important that I make this video, because people don't know how hurtful and harmful their words can be. I think it's very important for people who come from blended cultures to celebrate that, because it is the legacy of our ancestors wherever they came from and wherever they went for us to carry on those traditions into the next generation. A blended culture is its own unique, beautiful thing that would not be if it wasn't a result of the two cultures that it comes from. And I think that we have so much responsibility to honor the legacy of our ancestors who have worked so hard to preserve their traditions while living in a completely new place. I am very proud to be Italian American, and I am very thankful that I was able to have the opportunity to return to live in Sicily and to continue my family's story here. It's really emotional in many ways, especially when I visit their hometowns and I see where they came from, because I can't imagine it was an easy choice for them to leave their families and to leave everything they knew behind, because I know today where they ended up, but I always have to remember that they did not know what was waiting for them on the other side of that ocean. Now that I've gone through this experience of myself of leaving the place I grew up and starting over and having to relearn everything I already thought I knew, learn a new language, learn new ways of doing things, learn new systems, it gives me a deeper understanding of their stories and of their lives. And it gives me a special connection to them, even if I didn't get to meet them. So I'll end today's video here. I hope that you've enjoyed it, and I hope it's resonated you if you are also Italian American or if you come from any other blended culture. I'll see you next time. Ciao.